I want to know, first of all, how do you get here to a point where you're like, you're into anarchy, you're into like decentralizing currency and all that stuff? Like, what led you to this point that made you decide to do this or to go down this route?
I mean, I can answer that for myself. I can't answer it for you.
Yeah.
Go for it.
But for myself, I think it was just my understanding of free market principles and my interest in entrepreneurship and realizing that, 99.99999% of the time, the government is just in your way as an entrepreneur and just hindering you and just creating stumbling blocks that only benefit certain classes of people or certain connected people. And the 0.0001% of the time the government actually helps you is only by accident. So realizing that the government is really mostly just in our way, and examining that, I just came to the understanding that it's not really legitimate,
Now, me and Chuck, I'll say right now, I'm pretty clueless about anarchy. I don't know what really it is.
Yeah, me
what
either.
about you?
I have no clue.
So having two
definition,
people in front of you guys that are completely clueless as to what anarchy is, like we see it as like, oh, it's you guys are rebelling, right?
Not at all, right?
What is anarchy?
That's a common misconception,
Okay.
right? So like a lot of common misconceptions about anarchy is like we're rioting in the streets and throwing Molotov cocktails and like throwing
we don't believe
garbage
in any
cans.
rules.
Yeah, throwing garbage cans through Starbucks windows, and like that's the furthest thing from the truth. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not a really huge fan of Starbucks, but I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not going to throw a garbage can through their window. But no, I mean, it comes down to just wanting freedom for you and your fellow man.
Anarchy just means anarchy without rulers. That's all it means. It means that you own yourself, I own myself, she owns herself.
And nobody has the right to tell us what to do with our own bodies or, make our decisions for us. I think everyone can agree with that. Why should you have the right to tell me how to live? Why should you have the right, and vice versa?
Yeah.
So.
I'm always one to believe that there is no one way to live your life. And as long as you're not hurting anybody,
Yes, that's
feel free to live however you want.
Have you ever heard of the non-aggression principle?
No, educate me.
Okay, so that's just what it means. It's the golden rule. It's just don't hurt people.
Yeah.
As long as you're not hurting anybody, live your life however you want to.
You learn these like basic things in kindergarten, right? Don't touch other people. Don't touch their stuff. Leave other people alone, and
don't steal.
Don't take things that aren't yours, right? It's like don't hit. These are just very basic rules, right? But we've somehow gotten to this place where there are these exceptions for people if they're wearing like a shiny metal pin and blue pants, right? And like they get to hit you and assault you and pull you over and threaten you with violence because reasons, because
it's a psychological thing. It's like they have the imposed power,
right?
Like if you hit somebody and you're not an authority, then they can hit you back. But if you have that, like you said, like if you're an officer, then other people will look and see that as wrong, you know what I mean, or justify it.
Yeah.
Or that guy must have done something wrong, right?
I mean, we see that all. Like you see these police videos or these cop videos of cops like doing wrong to people.
Yeah, I just saw one in Vegas actually.
Me too, and it made me so mad. He was selling water, right?
Yeah, the guy that wasn't on the strip and he was selling, dude, he had
this kid's just trying to be an entrepreneur and serve people and make them happy, and it's hot out there, it's 107 degrees and they're thirsty, and he's like, hey, give me a couple bucks, I'll give you a bottle of water, right? What's he doing wrong? He's not hurting anybody.
Right.
Yeah, so Chuck, I don't think Chuck has seen this, but there's this guy.
I think I've seen like a little. I just didn't want to watch it because
So for our listeners who are listening and haven't seen it, there's a video online of this guy in Vegas, and he's actually selling bottled water out of a cooler on the strip to people. It's 110 degrees in Vegas. Like he's just selling them for what, like $1 or $2.
Yeah.
Something like
and
that.
then the was it the I don't know if it was the cops that arrested him or like they had him in a chokehold.
So the video actually starts with the cops choking him out.
Yeah.
They assaulted the hell out of him.
And then they basically
and they're
like,
yelling at him, stop resisting, stop resisting, stop resisting. He's like there with like his arms
out here
on the floor,
and they're just choking him.
Yeah.
And people are yelling at the cops like, hey, just because you're yelling at him, stop resisting. He's not resisting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They always justify, I say like but like the media always justifies it like, well, cops are under a certain level of stress, or they have to worry about a million different things when they go onto the field. I'm like, yes, but the lady in the video kind of yelled something out that was very important. Is like, you guys need to be trained better. And I think that's what it boils down to, is you got people who are not
emotionally unstable. stable.
They need to understand that when they go do that job, their job requires a certain amount of risk and sacrifice, and they can't just pull the trigger because
and if
they
you
feel
can't handle that job, go get a different job.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. There's plenty of jobs. Plenty of jobs for everybody out there. Maybe a cop isn't for you. I know it's not for me.
Right.
I don't know if you saw that.
I never want to be a police officer.
I don't know if you guys saw that video out of Oklahoma recently. This old, 65-year-old woman got pulled over for a busted taillight. And then the cop ended up dragging her out, pointing a gun at her and then dragging her out and tasing her and all that stuff. No?
I think I did.
Yeah. I mean, it's floating around all over
She's
the
like,
place.
I ain't going to pay that ticket.
Yeah. And the thing is, all that cop had to do, literally the only thing he had to do was explain to her that this statute that he quoted to her gives you 48 hours to fix it, and then the court will dismiss the charges.
Right.
That's it. All he had to do was say, oh, don't worry about it. You don't want to pay it? Just get it fixed within 48 hours. Instead, he just immediately, as soon as she says, oh, well, I don't think I should have to pay for something that I can fix, he goes, well, get out of the car. You're under arrest. He didn't have to do that.
No. Yeah.
It hit his
All you do
emotions
is
because
have
she
to
said, I ain't
have a
paying that. And he was
logical-
like,
And that's just ego.
bro, relax. Exactly what you said.
And that's one thing that I do love about the internet that I will say. The internet is that you switch the camera to you.
Oh,
That's one thing that I love about the internet is it has a certain way of leveling the playing field where you see injustice done. It kind of gets addressed.
Right.
You know, there was a story of this guy in LA. He's like a paletero. I don't know if you guys know what a paletero is, but he sells ice creams out of his little push cart. He's an old Mexican man.
Entrepreneur.
And some guy he's like an 80-year-old dude, and he's trying to make a living in California. Some guy beat him up, gave him a black eye, took his money, and then somebody saw it, started a GoFundMe, and it made him $18,000.
Yeah.
You know,
wow.
so
That's the beauty.
the internet has a good way of rectifying
Totally.
the wrong that happens in the world, and in a way. That's kind of what Bitcoin does, is the transfer of wealth, right? So you mentioned that you run the Bitcoin meetup, and I want to talk about, before we get off topic, I want you to explain in your own words, what is Bitcoin for those who are tuning in and don't know?
And let me just interject with something about that Boletero, right? The thing about the internet is that the internet is totally anarchic. There's nobody telling us that we have to give money to this group or that group or this guy or that guy. We just see things that we believe in, and we can fund all sorts of charitable things and help all kinds of people all over the world.